And if we now extrapolate from your life to the life of everybody else, then we can clearly see that the world isn't improving. It isn't getting any better. We are not having less wars. We're not having less starving people around us. In fact, it is all increasing. So if we just look at this from a, a very matter-of-fact point of view, we can see that it isn't working. We have to admit that striving for the light and for an energetic high doesn't fix the problems in the world. On the other hand, let's look at destiny. Now, one of the foundational principles, and I will have to say that destiny is it's based on very simple equations that anyone can apply, not only apply, but can follow. You can follow a very simple equation. You don't need a higher degree. You don't need intelligence in the way we understand it, educational intelligence. You just need to be a human in the world who sees what's happening with themselves and with the world around us. And on the very first principle is that we are one humanity. We are one body of people who have all the same basic needs. We all need to eat, we all need shelter, and we all need healthcare. This is a very basic, fundamental need that everybody needs. And everything else beyond that is something we make up. Reasons why one person is better than another person, or one person is less than another person, that is not real. What is real is that the person has to eat, and they have to drink, and they have to sleep, and they need shelter, and they need a surrounding that lets them live a dignified life where they're not abused. So now this is our fundamental principle, is that we're all equal, right? Which means that it's including you, me, and everybody else in this principle. Now, if we look around us and we want to apply this principle, then what is the first thing that we have to achieve? The first thing we have to achieve is that people's needs are met. And they are met by physically changing the world we live in, which means the current system, for example, which is our money system, isn't working. We have people who have a lot of money and people who have no money, and people with no money cannot fulfill their basic needs. We have plenty of band-aid approaches such as charities and good-willing people who don't donate money, but it isn't helping. It isn't making a change. So the change has to be fundamental. The change has to be within each of us, which means this change requires responsibility, to take responsibility for who you are as a member of humanity, which means you are responsible for all members of humanity, meaning you must make sure that all members of humanity have the same as you do. Otherwise, you're not a member of humanity, right? And you get the world that we live in today, which is a world that is on the path of destruction, of self-destruction. It's a clear fact. And we can look back to our track record, and we can see that the direction we're in, we're continuing in the same direction. So, from this point, the first thing that has to change is that we have to take responsibility. Now, and this stands in complete opposition to anything that we have, say, in the spiritual world. Any light worker, any Buddhist, any a religious person is practicing, the responsibility is not with them. The responsibility is outside of them. It's with some higher power, something they cannot see, something they have no clue of. They are using complete faith to believe and trust into this higher power. And this higher power doesn't exist. It's obvious because this higher power hasn't made any changes. And if this higher power is a good higher power, then why, ask yourself, light workers and spiritual workers, isn't it feeding the people who are starving? Well, you can say because they don't deserve it, but why? What are the reasons that these people wouldn't deserve to be fed? Ask yourself in all honesty, why would there be a reason that one person can eat and another person cannot? And you will come up with the answer, which is there aren't any reasons. The only reason why they're not fed is because we let it happen, because we participate with our thoughts, our emotions, our judgments, our polarizations in a system, in a world that actually doesn't allow other people to eat. And that's the bottom line. And that is, from what I see, the fear that light workers and spiritual workers reacting to. The fear to suddenly have to take responsibility, to suddenly know, wow, the ball is in my court. I am the one. I have to make the change. I am equal to everything here. I have also created this. I have participated in what is happening around me. So this is the big fear, because this has never been done before. People have never taken responsibility before. We have always lived in hierarchy. We've always lived in something, striving for something that is outside of us. We've always had the idea that we're powerless, but we're not. Humanity is an accumulative factor. It's 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 and so on. If every person in this world were to take responsibility for everybody else, meaning everybody else's needs are met, the world would change in an instant. If we stop our excuses and we face our fears of taking responsibility for what we have created, we can change the world. And it's the only way we're going to change the world. We will not change the world through light work. We will not change the world through therapy. And we will not change the world through politics. And we certainly will not change the world through praying or dimensional shifts. And you will not change your own life either. And so back to you, I think his name is also Dark Tom. What you're facing is your fears, if you want to. Because what you've missed, and this is clearly visible and audible in your video, is that you haven't done your research. You don't understand what equality means. You don't understand what is best for all. We are just learning to understand what is best for all. Very few people in the world have a glimpse of what is best for all. So it is understandable that you have fears. And it is understandable that you are confused. So it takes a bit of courage to stand up and say, I'm going to look at this message. I'm going to see what they really are saying. Because we are an open group. We are completely and entirely transparent. We invite everyone. Everyone is welcome. Anyone can leave when they want to. We are self-organized. Yeah? So we don't have a leader. We don't have somebody we look up to. We take responsibility for ourselves. And this is a new place Humans haven't done this before. So I would really encourage you to, for a moment, put your emotions aside if you can, and objectively as you can, evaluate the situation and the message that we stand for. And you will find that you can see what I see and that you cannot see now.